Hi guys, how we going? Right, I need to get my other phone so I can see your conversation. So morning to everyone. We're going to discuss Graceland being leased, rented. In England, if you lease your property, you sell the lease. You sell the lease. I think there was some confusion. Obviously, we did a YouTube post yesterday about Graceland's being sold, leased. That I didn't realise it got quite a big reaction. Everyone's thinking it's sold. You have to watch the people that were reacting to the video. You have to watch the video before you comment, because as soon as you press play on the video, the Graceland's sold video, as soon as you press play on it, we start explaining what went on with Bob Sillerman, how the lease was sold, the 90-year lease, when it took place, why it happened. And so today we're going to try and clarify. Now, because I'm from England, I may see it differently than how the Americans see it. But in England, you sell a lease. If you have a property, you sell a lease. When you sell a lease, the tenant fully is in charge of that property. Yeah, he doesn't own it because the landlord receives rent. The landlord has conditions. Yeah. But the person inside the building, it's like he owns it. Yeah. The person who runs the lease, there's hundreds of terms and conditions. It's like he owns it under the conditions of the landlord. So I think we need to discuss it a bit, because people are very adamant. Oh, no, it still belongs to Riley. That it hasn't been sold. Some people, I would say the majority of people don't know that Graceland's had a 90-year lease created when they sold Elvis Presley Enterprises around. We'll have a look at the dates in a minute. Around 2005. Many people don't know that within that deal there was a lease created, and the Graceland's Living Museum, the business, was leased to Elvis Presley Enterprises, giving Elvis Presley Enterprises control of the Living Museum. So can I just ask you guys now, do any of you know that Graceland's was leased? I would call it rented to EPE at the time of selling Elvis Presley Enterprises, the 85%. So I'm going to get my other phone so I can check your comments. Right, here we go. Let me just get your... Right, we're back. We had nearly 1,000 views on that video, and there was not millions, but there was a lot of comments on the Facebook page. So I just thought we need to address it, to sort of try and get... I just thought maybe we can all learn together. Let's have a look. Yeah, so Pat didn't know. Hi, Pat. I hope your granddaughter's feeling better. So it feels, to many people, it feels like it's new news. Yeah. But this happened, in 2005. So I thought, Team Elvis, we're going to learn together. So good morning to everyone, by the way. We're on Defending Elvis Presley. We defend Elvis and Lisa Marie and the bloodline every day. It's what we do. It can get pretty sticky. Yeah, we've all learned that. So how are we going to do it then? So the first thing I thought was, let's just Google it. So I Googled it. So we're going to do this together as Team Elvis. So we try and learn something together, yeah? Because even for me, it's unclear on exactly what went on. So I went on to Graceland's site. They do discuss it, so I thought we'll talk about that. Yeah, so Susan, hi Susan. So Riley, yeah, so this it is confusing, guys, but I'm not sure what a lease is in America. But a lease in England is when you basically sign a contract that you are in charge of the contents, so the business of the building. You don't own the building, you own the business. So inside the it could also include the grounds. Yeah, it depends what the terms of the lease are, but the lease is basically saying it's yours now, but you're going to pay me rent. I repeat, it's yours now, but you're going to pay me rent. So when Lisa Marie Presley and Priscilla got together, it's a complex story, and sold Elvis Presley Enterprises. Part of that deal was a 90-year lease. Some people say 99 years, 1999, where they leased Elvis Presley and Graceland's The Living Museum business. I'm not exactly sure what that entails, but the Living Museum, the business, yeah, to Elvis Presley Enterprises, and as far as I know, they paid $3 million up front, and they never have to pay rent again. But they do have to keep the upkeep of the Living Museum, the building, the grounds, etc. But Elvis Presley Enterprises are how can I say it? They are controlling and running and managing the Living Museum. But we're going to read it. We're going to see what comes up. Let me just check your comments. So Riley owns the building, the bricks, yeah, the land. But the Living Museum is controlled and leased by Elvis Presley Enterprises. 85% of that is the management team, Joe Weishanker and the management team. So it's a lot of, I keep saying it, guys, most people don't know that Graceland was rented, leased, the Living Museum, not the building, to EPE. Hi, Gene. The six. Yeah, I mean, Gene, the bit I read was that they paid $3 million up front. Now, the deal this is for the lease. Yeah, this is for the lease of Graceland. Now, the Elvis Presley Enterprises deal, that was a massive deal. That was a massive deal. When they sold 85% of Elvis Presley Enterprises, there was big money, tens and tens of millions. We said it all yesterday. A lot of money changed hands. Yeah. So, but Priscilla was given 6.5 million for the Presley name. Now, Bob Sillerman didn't have to give Priscilla any money because Elvis and Priscilla are divorced, but he still chose to give it her. So obviously we worry about that. Why was Priscilla given that money? My worry is that because obviously Lisa Marie agreed to this deal to sell 85% of Elvis Presley Enterprises. My worry is because Priscilla received such a large amount of money, some people could call it a backhander for entertainment purposes, just an opinion. Did she oil the wheel to encourage Lisa Marie Presley to go along with the sale of Elvis Presley Enterprises and leasing the business, the Living Museum, to Elvis Presley Enterprises? Now, I've had a few messages about this. Some people say it's standard procedure, the way that the Living Museum was leased to Elvis Presley Enterprises. I don't agree. I think they have leased, whichever way you look at it, they have leased the business for 90 or 99 years to Elvis Presley Enterprises, and Elvis Presley Enterprises now has a controlling interest of Graceland's The Living Museum, the business, the tour. So I personally don't think it should have happened. That's a good question, Pat. Pat says, what happens when the lease is up? Remember, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not into property leasing, even though I do have leases in England. Usually the lease lapses and the tenant gets the opportunity to renegotiate the lease. That's how I see it. After 90 years, the landlords... No, that's the wrong way of putting it. Yes, the landlords and the tenants can renegotiate the lease, or the landlord can choose to not carry on the lease. I think, guys. Let's have a look. So, did you see how much it's going to cost to go to Graceland this week? Good luck. All right, I don't know the entry fee of Graceland. Hi, Regina. So, right, what I did was I thought, let's just really, let's go back to basics. Remember, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a property person in America. So I just thought, let's just Google it. Let's Google it and just see what it says. Because obviously people are worried about this situation, even though it happened, 20 years ago. People are worried about it because for some reason people are only now finding out about it. So I'm just waking up. I'm getting my coffee in me and waking up. Okay, let's have a look. So I'm going to keep these lives to an hour, guys. So I typed in, was Graceland leased to Elvis Presley Enterprises? So I've got it here. It says here, Elvis Presley Enterprises manages the operations of Graceland, and it's related to properties, including Graceland Archives as part of Elvis Presley estate, which is now owned by Riley. Obviously, we know that Riley owns it, yeah, and it'll become the twins as well, won't it? Finley. Here is a more detailed explanation, but it also says here, Graceland was never leased to Elvis Presley Enterprises. Now, that is not correct, because when we go on to Graceland's website, they clearly say that it was leased. I'm going to read that in a minute. Pat, I think once the lease is up, they can renegotiate the lease. Yeah, I don't think they can just kick them out. I think the terms of the lease get renegotiated. Yeah, that's how it is in England. Unless the landlord gives a very good reason why he wants someone out, they renegotiate the terms of the lease, like the rent, for example. So it should never have happened. I don't care what anyone says, guys. Gracelands should never have been leased, in my opinion, to Elvis Presley Enterprises, ever. It should never have happened. Should never have happened. Just my opinion, guys. So let's have a look. So EPE, established by Priscilla Presley, and manages the operation of Graceland, including tours, the guest house at Graceland, and the Graceland Archives. Ownership. Gracelands and the Elvis Presley estate were initially owned by Lisa Marie Presley, Elvis's daughter, and now are owned by her daughter Riley as the sole trustee of her mother's estate. Obviously, once the kids, Finley and Harper, become of age, things will change. Yeah? After Elvis's death, Priscilla Presley, determined to rescue her daughter's birthright, transformed the family's fortunes, which I don't agree with. It was all being rescued beforehand, before Priscilla came along. But this is how Google said it. Turning the Elvis's estate into an empire which should have supported his descendants for generations to come. She opened Graceland to the public and rebuilt the commercial value of Elvis's name through EPE. I don't agree with, how can I say it? Of course, once Priscilla got involved, of course she did make massive decisions, yeah? but it wasn't her idea. She didn't save Graceland. It wasn't her idea. The museum wasn't her idea. She claims it to be her idea. She claims she saved Graceland from being sold. I don't think she did. I think it's a blag. I think they were never going to sell Graceland. It's just my opinion. Louis at home in the UK. Now, once she got involved and she made big decisions, of course, she would have had an influence. But remember, whilst Priscilla was running the show on behalf of her daughter and the other management team, this decision was made to sell 85% of Elvis Presley Enterprises. We know that Elvis Presley Enterprises was set up to stop everyone making money off the Presley name. Yeah, merchandising, etc. Except, you know, it covers a massive blanket of products, copyright, all that kind of stuff. So Elvis Presley Enterprises being created was a good thing because it stopped everyone ripping off Elvis's name. Selling it was the mistake. Selling it was the mistake. In my opinion. Right, so the expansion, you know, we're told that a big part of the reason that the expansion, that this decision was made to sell Elvis Presley Enterprises, 85% of it, was because they wanted to expand. They wanted to expand its operations, acquiring the shopping centre plaza across the street from Graceland, which is now known as Graceland Plaza. Many of you have messaged me saying that you all miss the shopping centre plaza. So by the mid-1980s, Elvis Presley Enterprises was interested in securing the rights to Elvis's image and intellectual property, leading to court cases, new copyright and trademark legislation. Yeah, so that's, you know, the reason Elvis Presley Enterprises was set up was for that. Yeah, they're trying to get the trademarks under legislation. Yeah, so people can't all be selling Elvis stuff without permission of EPE. It was a good decision. Right. So now let's look at. I'm gonna get the comments up. And let's look at. Now remember, we're learning together, guys. Let's get your comments up while I. Okay. I think I'm actually quite surprised that, let's have a look a minute, that so few people actually know about this, because this is a big deal, guys. This is like quite a major thing, I think. Let's have a look. So I'm just trying to get the live stream up, guys. Here we go. Got it. Okay, right, got you. So I just noticed there's another live link up. I'm not really sure why. So I just want to quickly turn off that other live link. Where are we? So how is everyone this morning? We got a bit of reading to go through. I just want to quickly go to the. I've just noticed there's another live link up, so I want to delete it so it doesn't confuse anyone. Yeah, there we go. I have no idea why there's two live links up. Let me just delete that one. Hopefully I'm not deleting this one. Okay. Right, so let's get this Elvis Presley Enterprises. So I come up. Here we are. Is that it? No, let's get the right one. Right, here we go. Right, let me just check that your comments are. I can read your comments. So I Googled it and this came up. Let me just check your comments. The strip mall was fantastic when I visited it in 1980. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we loved how it was in the 80s, don't we? It had a lot of character. Now, the estate of Elvis Presley, the Elvis Presley Trust, obviously anyone can go to this website. It's completely free. I think there may even be a 24-hour cam on Graceland. Right, let's just see how much is on there, because I don't want to spend ages reading it. Let me just get to the bit where... Right, love you, bye. It's right, for my son going to work. I'm going to skim through this a bit. So it goes through when, obviously it mentions when Elvis Presley died. His will appointed his father, Vernon, who had long handled Elvis's personal and non-business affairs, as executor and trustee. The beneficiaries were Minnie Mae, Vernon, Lisa. Let's have a look. So let's have a look. So Vernon Presley could, at his discretion, provide funds to other family members as needed. Vernon Presley died in 1979. Minnie Mae died in 1980. This left Lisa Marie Presley as the sole heir to the estate. Elvis was stated that her inheritance was to be held in a trust for her until the 25th birthday, February the 1st, 1993. Now, as far as I know, Priscilla was allowed to carry on running things on behalf of Lisa, which I personally think was a mistake. I have strong views about... I personally think that Priscilla gave Lisa the impression that she saved the day. She's the reason Elvis is remembered. She preserved everything, and all the success of Graceland was down to Priscilla. I think Lisa, at this time, when she turned 25, really believed everything that Priscilla was telling her. I think she was misled by Priscilla. Yeah. So Vernon Presley brought about the appointment of 3 co-executive trustees to succeed him. They were the National Bank Commerce in Memphis, which was the bank Elvis and Vernon had done business with. Joseph Hanks, who had been Elvis and Vernon's accountant for a number of years, and Priscilla Bulow Presley, who had divorced Elvis in 1973, but had continued a close friendship with him and was Lisa's legal guardian. Joseph Hanks retired in 1990. Now, guys, I don't believe for a second that they had a close friendship. Seriously, I don't. I just don't believe it. I'm not convinced. I don't think you can be that unfaithful and that cruel in a divorce settlement, the second divorce settlement, and you're good friends. Just my opinions. Yeah, obviously some of you may disagree, but I just don't think so. I'm not convinced, guys. Right. So, let's just check your comments. Yeah, Emily, it's not straightforward. You've got to remember that Emily, when Elvis Presley Enterprises was sold to Bob Sillerman, the billionaire, Lisa was involved. This whole process that involved a big expansion, yeah, Bob Sillerman, the billionaire, and his management team, Lisa was involved. My worry is, what influence did Priscilla have over Lisa? Is Priscilla getting a alleged backhander of 6.5 million? Just alleged, just an opinion for entertainment purposes. Is that why Lisa went along with it? Who knows, guys? Who knows? We weren't there. It was 2005, wasn't it? It's a long time ago. So all of it worries me. I will never accept that businessmen are speaking on behalf of Elvis and his bloodline. Businessmen are speaking on behalf of Elvis and Lisa Marie, etc. It's not right. It just doesn't sit right with me. I don't like it. I don't care if it's to help the running of the museum. I don't care. I don't like it. Just my opinion, guys. So upon Lisa Marie's 25th birthday in 1993, the trust automatically dissolved and Lisa chose to form a new trust, the Elvis Presley Trust, to continue the successful management of the estate with Priscilla Presley at the National Bank of Commerce and to serve as co-trustees. Now, remember, guys, that yes, the Living Museum was a massive success, but remember, it was the fans. Elvis's fans are what saved Graceland, what made the Living Museum a success. Elvis's fans and his work, Elvis's body of work, his personality, his music, his movies, etc., his merchandising, his copyrights. That's what saved all of it. Which is part of the reason I'm gutted that 85% of Elvis Presley Enterprises was sold. Gutted. It shouldn't be 85%. It should be 50-50 at the very least. I'm worried why Lisa Marie went along with all of this. Who knows? We'll never know. We'll not fly on the walls. And obviously, if you look at the deal that was done with Bob Sillerman, they're saying there was a 26 million overdraft. Yeah? And that part of the deal was to pay that overdraft off. I know that Lisa gets a very large amount of money. She gets a percentage of one of their management companies. But my point is, if Graceland was so successful because of Priscilla, because that's the impression we're given here, that Priscilla had made it a massive success, but they had taken it as far as they can, then why was it 26 million in debt? Seriously, guys, look it up. Maybe we'll look it up together. It says there was 26 million in debt. I think Priscilla was given money to continue to get paid because she was on the board of directors of EPE when it started. Yeah, Dan, I think you're right. It's a cash cow for Priscilla. It is a cash cow. Right, let's keep going. Lisa Marie Presley became more closely involved with the management team of the Elvis Presley Trust and its business entity, Elvis Presley Enterprises Incorporated, EPE, of which she was owner and chairman of the board until February 2005, when she sold a major interest in the company. Now, we know that it belonged to Lisa. Up until February 2005, this is Graceland's own website. We know it belonged to Lisa. Now, I've seen the interviews where Lisa sits there and says, oh, you know, we've taken it as far as we can. We've got big plans for expansion. We feel that we need management teams to step in and carry on the expansion. But I'm still concerned behind the scenes who was influencing the decision in February 2005 when eventually 85% of Elvis Presley Enterprises get sold. Obviously, 15% is retained by then Lisa Marie Presley. Remember, we now know that Priscilla got given $6.5 million, allegedly, for the name Presley, and I think that included the name Graceland. Yeah? I'm not definite. You guys tell me if I'm wrong. I'm no expert. Please put me right if I'm wrong. I am very worried what happened in 2005, that a 90-year lease of Gracelands was given to Elvis Presley Enterprises. I think there was a $3 million upfront payment. It worries me. Yeah, I think there's something wrong in that. I think why does Elvis's legacy, you know, Elvis's grandkids, Lisa's kids, have to pick up the pieces of the fact that 85% of Graceland was rented, leased to Elvis Presley Enterprises, giving Elvis Presley Enterprises controlling interest of the Living Museum. It's just me thinking out loud, guys. Elvis Presley could have left one of the great fortunes of entertainment history, has been one to worry about financial planning rather than the freely enjoying and sharing his wealth as he did. Hang on, let me just get to I want to get to some more details. It seemed logical for Priscilla and the executives to open Graceland to the public. In 1981, they hired Jack Sodden, and that's not straightforward because Jack Sodden was Morgan Maxfield's assistant. Morgan Maxfield, who allegedly was engaged to Priscilla, died in a plane crash, but they were not engaged at the time. Morgan Maxfield had all the plans with him already drawn up with Memphis City to launch the Living Museum to save Graceland. Yeah? You got to look him up, guys. Morgan Maxfield. Jack Sodden was his assistant. I think Priscilla saw an opportunity in Jack Sodden as being Morgan Maxfield's assistant and jumped on the bandwagon and took all the glory for the negotiations with Graceland, the building, and the opening, the launching of the Living Museum. I personally think Priscilla took advantage. And Jack Sodden was in a win-win situation with Priscilla because he was always going to make a fortune by being involved in this, what I say is a sure thing. I personally think the Graceland's opening as a living museum was a sure thing because they knew how many people were visiting the graves. They knew it was going to be a success. It was not a gamble. When you watch these old interviews of Priscilla saying, oh, we didn't know if anyone was going to come, it's bullshit. They knew, guys, because thousands were visiting the graves. And as far as I know, 14 vehicles were bought to do the tour. I could be wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. But now I'm not falling for it, guys. I would never accept that Priscilla saved the day. I would never accept that. Right, here we go. Right, this is the bit. Let me just check your comments. This is the bit that I'm trying to get across to you guys. So let me just check your comments. So Dan, I wouldn't doubt Priscilla was asked to convince Lisa to sell 85%, and if she did, she'd be paid for it. Maybe there was a 6 million from that. No, guys, Priscilla, I'm pretty sure Priscilla did get 6.5 million for the Presley name. He didn't have to pay her because they weren't married. Yeah, I can't guarantee that. Let's have a look. I'm just checking your comments. I know there's a situation where there's personal and a personal appearance to do with Jerry Schilling and Priscilla, but I want to deal with that on a separate live stream. So I know quite a lot of you are worried about that. $1,250 for the tour. So Susan, I think Jack Sodden and Priscilla were an item. Oh, I don't know about that. He's not the best looking guy, is he? But I have heard that Joel Weishanker, who came later, once Bob Sillerman went bust, the billionaire, that Joel Weishanker may have been dating Priscilla for a while. I've heard that. But Jack Sodden, don't know. What do you reckon, guys? Find that hard to believe. You could be right, Susan, but I don't know. I don't think so myself, but who knows? The more research we do, the better, yeah? So, I mean, Jack Sodden has not done anything really bad here. He was involved in the negotiations with Memphis City, with, you know, doing all the plans for the launching of the Living Museum with Morgan Maxfield. So obviously when Morgan Maxfield had the aeroplane crash, Priscilla approaches him because he's done all the work, hasn't he? Jack Sodden has been heavily involved in saving Graceland, in launching the museum. I personally don't think Graceland's needed saving. I think Memphis City were always going to make sure Graceland was okay because it was too good for Memphis. Elvis's home, Graceland's, being looked after really by Memphis City. It was too much of a cash cow for Memphis. They were never going to let it be disbanded, broken up, wallpaper removed off the walls. It was never going to happen. Yes, behind the scenes things had to go on to sort everything out from a business point of view, of course. But come on, guys, they were never going to break up Graceland. It's bullshit. The Living Museum was always going to happen, always, whether Priscilla was involved or not. Yeah, Kate, the bit with Joel Weishanker and Priscilla, I'm not sure. I've heard bits, yeah? I'm not sure. Right, okay, now this is the point of this live stream. People are worried. Obviously, yesterday we did Elvis, Graceland was sold. live stream. That's got a big reaction. If you watch the video from yesterday, it clearly breaks down what happened, that it was leased to Elvis Presley Enterprises as part of the deal with Bob Sillerman, the billionaire who acquired 85% of Graceland, the Elvis Presley Enterprises, not the building, Elvis Presley Enterprise. In that deal was a 90-year lease of Graceland's the business, the living museum, the tour, yeah? So let's read what it says. It seemed logical for Priscilla and the executors to open Graceland to the public in late 1981. Yeah, we've read that. In 1983, a long-term lease, EPE acquired the shopping centre plaza across the street from the mansion. From the time the plaza was built in the 60s, it had been a typical suburban strip shopping centre. However, almost overnight after Elvis's death, it became an unsightly blemish of tacky souvenirs. Now, many of you will disagree with that. Many of you say that it was really nice, that the souvenir shops in front of Gracelands were actually really, really nice and had a real good atmosphere. So that's how they word it here, yeah? Which carried mostly bootleg items not licensed by Elvis Presley estate. Now, I understand Elvis Presley Enterprises is set up to make sure they get their cut of profit on the merchandising of anything to do with Elvis. I get that. I understand that. They're trying to bring it all under one roof. Yeah? So let's have a look. EPE began policing the bootleg activities and began an overall facelift while continuing to honour the existing lease of the plaza tenants. By 1987, all the leases had expired and Graceland began major renovations which continue to this day. In 1993, Graceland purchased the property. Today, all shops and attractions in what is now known as the Graceland Plaza are owned and operated by EPE. The land where Graceland visitors parking and the airplanes exhibit are located was already owned by EPE. Elvis had purchased in 1962. I get what they did, guys. They waited for everyone's lease to run out, then they took over. Yeah. Right, I want to try and get to the bit. So obviously, there's a lot more to it here. Graceland's crossing a neighbouring shopping centre with stores that featured Elvis-related items. Yeah, so we see this. I want to get to the bit where the lease was created. I wonder if it's going to talk about it. The Heartbreak Hotel was closed in 2016 to make way for the guest house at Graceland, a 450 resort hotel. 450 room resort hotel. The guest house at Graceland, which had been awarded AAA prestigious 4-diamond ratings, offer a range of contemporary facilities, including 2 restaurant spaces for meetings and special events, and a 464-seat theatre. Yep. Right, so this has jumped forward a bit. I want to... Obviously, the Graceland Plaza and Graceland Crossing complexes closed in 2017. At Graceland's new entertainment complex, Elvis Presley Memphis, opened the $45 million 200,000 square foot state-of-the-art entertainment complex. Features the world's largest and most comprehensive Elvis museum in the world, Elvis the Entertainer Career Museum, Presley Motors, automobiles, a museum, and 2 restaurants, discovery exhibits. Yeah, okay. So we know that. It's pretty amazing, isn't it? Pretty amazing. Now, what I'm trying to find is when Bob Sillerman comes along. Let's have a look. So Riley and Lisa, eldest daughter, are the sole trustees of Finn and her sisters Philly and Harbour, 15% ownership in its entities. This includes 100% ownership of Graceland Mansion itself. So we know that they own the building, 13 acres original grounds and their grandfather and personal effects, meaning costumes, wardrobes, furniture. They have made a mansion, property, and their grandfather's personal effects. Yeah. So we know this. Jack Sodden is the CEO of Elvis Presley Enterprises and is based in the Memphis office. The top management team is supported by vice president, directors, manager, and staff, and various departments of EPE, including marketing, sales, accounting, operations, human resources, and various sub departments within. Okay, all right. So I want to. I've only got about 15 minutes left, guys. I just want to. Let's just check your comment. Right. Okay. So I want to see the bit where Graceland is leased to EPE. Let's see if it comes up. We'll type it in, guys. See if it says it here. Yeah. Let's have a look. Because to me, you lease a business. Yes, you don't own the property, but the business is gone. The business is gone. I lease. I have properties. I lease them. But you don't have the business anymore. You own the building. You get rent, but the business is gone. Let's have a look. Let's see if it says it on here. We might have to put Bob Sillerman's name in. Let's scroll through. Is it going to tell us? Let's have a look, guys. No, it's not in this bit. We need to put Bob Sillerman's. Let's put Bob Sillerman's name in. Robert Sillerman lease Graceland. Let's see what happens. Let's see what comes up, guys. No, I told you that, man. Told you before you left. We need milk. The children take all our milk. It's only around the corner. Right. Remember I'm live. Right, to do. Right, okay. My wife's gutted, there's no milk. Right, here we are. Bob, former Graceland owner, sells. So he eventually he went bust, didn't he? Bob Sillerman. Now let's see if it mentions the leasing. Is it going to mention it? Let's have a look. Sillerman had bought Elvis Presley Enterprises from Lisa in 2005, but later sold it to a private equity. I think the private equity is Joel Weishampel. I don't know, guys. I don't know. You tell me. So in the end, it all went wrong for him, didn't it? Okay, let's go back again. Let's see if we can get them all broken down. Let's have a look. Let's see. Presley in the Press 2006. Let's try this. Here we go. Right, I'm going to read this bit, guys. Then I'm going to have a little break and come back. So, Presley in the Press. Let's have a look. We want the bit. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. We want the bit that says how it was leased. Oh no, this is showing all his different things that he owned. Let's have a look. Is it going to let us see the bit? It's not very clear. Let's try a different one. We read it out yesterday. Let's have a look. Yeah, so it's showing him going bust here. He definitely got in trouble. Right, the man who bought Elvis. This is what we did. I think this is what we read yesterday. We're just going to read the one bit. The man who bought Elvis. Here we are. Let's have a look. Over 500,000 tourists from all over the world stream into the shrine called Graceland each year. Okay, we want the bit about the lease. Come on, give us the lease. Oh my God, how are we going to find it in all this? So look. Keep going. Let's keep looking. Is this it? So look. No, this just keep. There's a lot of information here about how the rip-off. Yeah, how he ripped off. I think he exaggerated the value of his companies. Let's see if this is going to come up. Is it going to work? No, it doesn't like that one. Ah, no, that didn't work. Okay. Come on, let's keep going, guys. We're going to find it. Lease and resells bulk of the estate. Let's see if that's it. Right, here we go. Sells bulk. Lisa Marie is keeping Graceland but selling the bulk of the estate, including the rights to her father's name image, in a deal worth approximately 100 million. Elvis Presley Enterprises Incorporated announced an agreement. This will sell 85% of its assets to businessman Robert FX Sillerman. Obviously, he's the billionaire, founder of the music and sports promoter SFX. The Presley estate bought it almost 45 million. The Presley estate in almost, the Presley estate brought in almost 45 million just last year. I mean, just that alone tells me there's no way it should have been sold. Yeah. Sillerman said more aggressive marketing supported by capital raised through a new publicly traded company could make Elvis an even bigger earner. So he, come on, he knew it was a cash cow. Robert Sillerman, knew it was a cash cow. As Presley's only child, Lisa Marie is the sole heir to the estate, most of which is now to become part of a absolutely traded company that will be called CKX Incorporated. The agreement will pay her $53 million in cash, absolve her of her $25 million debts. Now, the fact that she was $25 million in debt, obviously not her, but the company, Gracelands, doesn't that prove that Priscilla was not doing a good job? Seriously, why is Lisa Marie's company or properties 25 million in debt? I don't get it. Let's just check your comments on that, guys, because it doesn't make sense, does it? This so-called gold mine, sure thing, cash cow, is 25 million in debt in 2005. So it's been running for 25 years and it's 25 million in debt. Why? Priscilla is doing such a great job. Why? So all of it is a bit, let's have a look. Sorry, I missed a lot of your comments. I'm going to read them now. Sorry, Chris has been commenting. Sorry. Let's have a little look. Let's have a look. Joe's. Hanks is also Tom Hanks' father. Tom claims he knew nothing about Elvis. Right, what's the movie Castaway? There is tons of... I'm not really sure what... I'm confused. All right. So I've only just cut in on the topic. So Joe Hanks is Tom Hanks' father. I know nothing about this. Right, okay. Let's have a look. So she fired her mother and Barry Siegel sued. Yeah, that was later, wasn't it, in 2016. Chris, what we're trying to do is understand that Graceland's, the Living Museum, the business, not the building, was leased to Elvis Presley Enterprises. So it's Elvis Presley Enterprises, 85%, controls Graceland's, the Living Museum. So that even though although Riley is the owner, yeah, and obviously the twins will be, of the building, it is leased to Elvis Presley Enterprises. So basically, in theory, Riley is a landlord. EPE are tenants. Yeah, the 85% EPE are tenants. They run the Living Museum. They manage the Living Museum. The day-to-day running of the Living Museum, the tour, is Elvis Presley Enterprises are in charge of it. Yeah, and they paid rent up front. So when they sold this 90-year lease to EPE at the time of the Bob Sillerman deal, I think in 2005, it included the lease. So you have the massive amount of money that changed hands. You've got it here. Look, 53 million plus 25 million, I think. And she also had, I think, stocks given to her as well, didn't she? Lisa did. So I'm just trying to make people understand that Graceland is leased to EPE. For whatever reason, it has happened. So my yesterday's video that says about Graceland's being sold, the lease was sold. They paid 3 million upfront rent, as far as I know, and the lease of Graceland now belongs to Elvis Presley Enterprises. It's at least 90-year lease, yeah? So to me, that means that EPE own the Living Museum, the tour, but Riley still owns the building as a landlord, yeah? Tell me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, guys, put it in the comments. We're trying to understand it, yeah? So the whole point of this live stream is to understand the lease. The lease that was given, sold, whatever, in the deal with Bob Sillerman, the billionaire, in 2005. That is what I'm trying to understand. Right, okay. Right, have I frozen? Guys, have I frozen? All right, okay, no, it's all right. I'm still here. Right, okay, it's all right. Don't worry, I was just checking. I thought I'd frozen then. Right, let's have a look. It's all right. So I thought I'd frozen then. So do we get what I'm saying, guys? I'm worried that they were 25 million in debt at the time of this deal. Yeah, and that part of this deal was to pay off debts. That's worrying, isn't it, guys? You know, Priscilla was at the helm. I know, obviously, by then Lisa was involved, but as well. But I think we've sort of covered it. I'm just going to go through some of your comments now. From what I see, should we get it up? From what I see, guys, it's not straightforward. But from what, the overall thing I'm trying to show here is that Elvis Presley, Graceland, the tour, the museum, the lease for that was sold to Elvis Presley Enterprises. Obviously, Elvis Presley Enterprises is split. It's 85% for EPE, the management team, Joe Weishankar and the rest. And then 15% is Riley's. Eventually the twins, Finley and Harper. So however anyone sees it, it has been leased to EPE. It has. Which means Riley is a landlord. Yes, she owns the building. So that to me that is uncomfortable. That there's something not right in that. I personally don't think business people should be stood at Graceland's representing Elvis's family on these important occasions like the birthdays. The 90th birthday is an example. It doesn't make sense to me that people like Jack Sodden, Joe Weishankar, business people that are there for profit, for money, Joe Weishanger saw a big opportunity when Bob Sillerman went bust. When Bob Sillerman went bust, it was an opportunity for Joe Weishanger to step in and do a deal. I don't know what his deal was. Is it 45 million, whatever it was? These people are representing Elvis and his bloodline. These business people, I mean, I'm not against them. They're business people. They want to make profit. They want to keep their shareholders happy, I expect, if they have shareholders. I don't know. But it's a business. I personally think if it's not been leased, and if Lisa, with Priscilla, with their managers, with a management team, I personally think that they could have done their own expansions bringing in managers, and everything that is happening now, like the giant hotel, could have still happened. But at least it would have been Lisa in charge of everything. Now they have to look, 85%, they have to look to Elvis Presley Enterprises for everything. Elvis Presley Enterprises have controlling interest in it all, including Graceland's. Yes, they don't own the building, but to me, it seems like they're there rent-free. Because if the rent was paid up in advance of the transfer of the lease, that means now there is no rent being paid from to Graceland's, to Riley, from EPE. Yes, they're giving her 15% of the profit after overheads. I would say the amount of money that Riley is receiving, her 15% of EPE after overheads, is not much. It's not much. We know how successful the hotel is and everything that's around Graceland and the Living Museum and the tour. We know it's massively successful, but Riley only is seeing 15% of the profits after overheads, after outgoing. So I don't think it's good, guys. I think it's bad. Right, I'm going to read your comments then, guys, and we're going to have a break. Let's have a look. Yeah, I mean, guys, you know my feelings with Riley. Whether she makes mistakes or not, I am always going to support her. She is Elvis's granddaughter. She is Lisa's child. I will always support the kids. Always. Even if they make mistakes, I will support them 100%. Right, let's have a look. Now, I know some of you guys feel differently. Of course, I respect how some of you guys feel, but I choose to support Riley. I think... Yeah, of course we would have loved to have seen Riley at the 19th birthday thing. Of course we would. Doesn't really... Let's have a look. So Chris says, Priscilla doesn't really communicate with Riley. It's up to Riley to communicate with Priscilla, and it doesn't look like she is at the moment. Well, we're guessing, aren't we, Chris? We don't really know that, yeah? We don't really know the friendship, the relationship, the communication between Priscilla and Riley. From the public point of view, from us watching from the outside, it does seem that way, what Chris has just said. It seems that way, but we don't know, do we? We don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Yeah, Dan. Elvis Presley Enterprises run and manage the business. Yeah, but to me, that's just wrong. They shouldn't. Riley and her management team should be running and managing the business. It shouldn't have ever been leased. It should never have been leased. Just my opinion, guys. The birthday was a failure. Yeah, it was. The 90th birthday at Graceland was a complete joke. It was pathetic. It was a complete flop. Really, really badly done. I agree with that, guys. It was a bunch of businessmen acting like Elvis's relatives. They're not Elvis's relatives. They're businessmen. They want money. Money, 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 money. Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, I mean, the whole story about Barry Siegel and Priscilla and the lawsuits and the Lisa Marie obviously sued Barry Siegel. Priscilla had to sell one of her homes to quieten Lisa Marie. You know, Lisa Marie got completely ripped off, in my opinion, by Barry Siegel, and there's a possibility that Priscilla was involved. Just an opinion for entertainment purposes. Riley owns 50% of EPE, and thanks to Priscilla forcing the sale of EPE. And yeah, it's possible that Priscilla forced the sale. It is. We don't know. We don't know what influence Priscilla had on Lisa for that sale to go through. I personally think that should never have happened. I personally think Lisa going along with the sale of EPE, 85% of it, was a big mistake. We don't know, do we, guys? We weren't flies on the wall, so we don't know. I'm sure has attorneys working on several. Yeah. I mean, come on, Riley, she's a busy lady. Yeah. We can't just see Riley as the landlord of Graceland and 15% owner of EPE. She has a much wider. Obviously, she's got her own family. She runs her own production company, I think. She's an actress. She's a model. She's very, very, very busy. Very, very, very busy. So remember, we can't forget, guys, that Priscilla is Riley's grandmother. Any of us here now watching this live stream, discussing this live stream, if we have grandparents, you're not gonna. Blood is blood. Blood is blood. It's whatever our personal feelings are about Priscilla. Obviously, we're very upset with Priscilla and her wrongdoing to Elvis and his legacy. It's still Riley's gran. You can't get away from that. Same with Finley and Harper. It's their gran. It's their gran. They've lost their mum. So who is there? Think about it, guys. From the point of view of children, from the point of view of Riley, it is Riley's gran. It is Finley and Harper's gran. It's blood. What do you do? If even me, if I had a disagreement with my grandmother, you're not going to hate her, are you? You're gonna make up because it's gran. So it's awkward, guys. Very awkward. One day, many years from now, EPE will be fully owned by non-family members, great-grandkids, if Elvis will have no connection to Grace, and it will be easy. Well, Dan, I don't know if that's true, because the way in England, if you lease a property, you can't just kick them out. At the end of the lease, they do get the option to renegotiate the terms of the lease. So that isn't straightforward. Obviously, I think in England, if you give a good reason to kick a tenant out, because EPE are tenants now, aren't they? If it's been leased to EPE, even if it's 85%, they are tenants. So you can't just go, right, go, get out. Because obviously EPE have spent tens of millions with the upkeep of Graceland, the Living Museum, the museum tour. So unfortunately, it isn't as simple as just the lease runs out and then the Presleys take over. Riley didn't show up intentionally. That's what I think. No family at Elvis' birthday fun. The corporate guys had no idea what to do. Well, the whole thing was a mess. I'll say that. The 90th birthday party, I think we watched it here, didn't we, guys? Because I put it on the live stream. It was a joke. The 90th birthday party at Graceland was an absolute joke. And of course, I'd be lying if I didn't say to you, I wish Riley was there. Of course I did. Okay, guys. So we've done an hour, so I'm going to end it now. I'm going to have a half an hour break. I'm going to try and come back with a different topic. I wanted to get this topic out there because the Graceland was sold video had quite a big reaction. Different people have different views on it, but I do think Because in England, you sell a lease of a property. Yes, you remain the landlord. Yes, you get rent, but you have sold the business. I do believe 85% of the Graceland business, the Living Museum, the tour, was sold to Elvis Presley Enterprises, and Elvis Presley Enterprises has controlling interest and manages the Living Museum and the tour. Yeah, but of course, Riley owns the building, and eventually the twins will as well. They are landlords. The odd thing is, they don't get rent. They get their 15% of the profit after overheads, but they do not get rent, and that is wrong, in my opinion. It's very unusual for rent to be paid fully up front in advance. I think it was $3 million, a long time ago. That's very unusual. A normal lease, you get a monthly or a quarterly rent, and those rents are reviewed every 3 to 5 years. Yeah, that hasn't happened in this lease. This lease, to me, seems wrong. I don't think this lease should have been signed. I also think it's very unusual that kind of a deal was 85% in favor of Elvis Presley Enterprises. I know a lot of money changed hands, as much as 100 million, isn't it? If you include stock that she was given, Lisa was given. I think the whole thing is a mess. I think the whole thing is a mess. So, if I could turn back the clock and get a time machine and travel to 2005 and sit with Lisa Marie, I'd say to her, don't do it. Don't lease Elvis Presley Enterprises don't lease the business, the Living Museum, to Elvis Presley Enterprise. I also would say to Lisa, don't sell 85% of Elvis Presley Enterprises. It didn't need to be sold. It did not need to be sold. It was a cash cow. It was always going to make an absolute fortune. It would have paid off its debt, the 25 million debt that Lisa may have been worried about. Eventually would have got paid off. It was a massive mistake. And I believe, just my opinion, that Priscilla influenced that massive decision for Lisa to agree to all this. I also believe that Priscilla receiving $6.5 million for the name Presley, which may have included the name Graceland, worries me, because it's like she got a backhander for this deal to go through. Just an opinion, for entertainment purposes only. Anyway, guys, gotta go. I'll see you soon. Quite an interesting live stream, guys. Quite a complicated one. But I have to say, in my opinion, Graceland, the business, the museum, the tour was sold as a lease, a 90-year lease. It was sold. A lease is something you sell. You sell a lease. Yeah. All right, guys. Take care, everyone. Gotta go.